All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. I just want to mention this is also going out on my podcast, which is called Tangentially Speaking, 600 and some episodes, and this is the first live recording that I'm doing on the podcast. So just to prove to the audience that there are actually people here, can you make some noise for me? All right. I think they got the point. So hello to everybody out there in the world listening to this. We're coming to you live from Crestone, Colorado. I'm so happy to be up on stage with these people. In the prayer earlier, we heard about the importance of walking in truth. And these people have been walking in truth for decades. Each of them, in their own way, has been doing, we talk about thinking globally and acting locally. These people have been acting locally for a long time to great effect. So thank you for that. So I guess my first question would be to each of you, or maybe I'll do a very brief intro of each of you. Most people know who these people are. You don't know Paul? Paul has been on my podcast. And if I remember correctly, you hitchhiked from Amsterdam to India when you were 18. Did I get that right? Because he wanted to understand Tibetan people. And that led to a whole lifetime of association with Tibetan culture and ultimately to the End of Life Project here in Crestone, which is one of the most interesting things about this town, in my opinion. Paul's a builder as well, and many other things which we'll hear about. Mady Bell is a master gardener. Anya works in Kizan and Janet's garden, and they've been gardening for 30-some years, and when they have a question, Mady Bell's who they turn to. So she's the gardening guru. Lloyd Kahn is an old friend of ours. We've known you for over a decade, probably, Lloyd. Lloyd is a pioneer in alternative building. We'll hear about that. He lives in a house that he built with recovered timbers from Treasure Island, I believe. Is that right? An old military installation they were tearing down, and Lloyd showed up and said, "What are you doing with all this wood?" And he said, "I don't know, dump it in the bay." And he said, "I'll take it." And he built a house. And Robin, as you all probably know, has been teaching ancestral skills. Anya, my partner, took a high tanning class with her and came home smelling like pig brains. That's the kind of thing that happens at Robin's place. So, all right, so after that brief introduction, my first question that I'd love for you to entertain, each of you, is, it feels to me like there's a second wave coming. Like you're all pretty much in the same generation. You rode that wave of alternative thinking in the late 60s, early 70s, building differently, thinking differently, getting back to the earth, conserving resources, growing your own food. It feels to me like there's another wave coming now, very similar, generated by institutional collapse, a lack of trust in infrastructure and authority figures. And so it creates a freedom, a space for people to think in different ways again. So my first question is, do you agree with that? Do you feel that happening? And if so, what have you learned that you feel is most important to pass along to these people riding this new wave? You'll start with Paul.
Hello, my name is Paul. I don't know where to exactly focus, whether it is on the building side of things or whether it is more on my more recent work here, last 16 years, and the Question End of Life project. That organization has become quite quite structured in a sense. We have now an implementation manual, which is now 45 pages long, which we hope that other people will take as a skeleton to start their particular home funeral businesses or green burial, offering green burial services, and then eventually leading up to the big one, open air cremation. That indeed is sort of the big thing, but also harder to accomplish. Some people have tried in this country, in Maine and in Arizona and in Michigan, and there's often obstacles to do with the county commissioners, or basically we have been doing things for a long time here and we really don't want to do open air cremation. It sounds kind of gruesome even. So there's a lot of education involved on this score. However, one can start with home funeral, volunteer home funeral. It's not a business, but it's an offering to the community, which becomes an entrance to doing more things for local communities that want to have a green burial or that maybe want to aspire for an open air cremation. So where is the resiliency in any kind of particular organization are new people joining? Is the board, how many gray hairs do we see there? How many people that have been already on the board for a long, long time? And do we see a new energy joining? And indeed, Crestner End of Life is lucky that we have a new generation entering. I'm the only one left standing of being co-founder with Stephanie Gaines. I'm the only one there left standing. I'm glad, willing to let it go, truly. My career or my life has been more to do with stupa building, alternative energy building. My house is both adobe and pumice-crete. I have an all-adobe home, two stories, at 18,000 bricks of adobe, made near Española in the adobe factory, no longer there. So yes, we have to import adobe brick into the valley. It's very hard to find the proper soils here with wind-blown sand. The valley is basically only wind-blown sand. You can do nothing with it. It's all round.
Have you been planting ponderosa pines as
I'm
well?
also a forester,
Right.
since I also have been a carpenter and a builder in the regular sense, stick frame, and using a lot of wood. I planted, in 2013, I planted 145 ponderosa pine on almost 1 mile of polytubing. And it's still going. Yesterday I turned on the 3 zones, each only a half hour long because we had rain. It's really tough going to keep trees growing. In this climate, I'm at 8,540 feet. Everything has to be protected. Each tree has a cage. It also has to be protected down in the ground. You have to dig down and put a reed cloth barrier because the invading roots sap the precious water that I pay for. You know, every gallon I pay for. So yes, it's been a long process. Of the 145 trees, there are 92 still growing. I have 20 price trees, which are 7 feet tall. I have many that are 5 feet tall, and some that still do not want to come along. But I stick with them till the polytubing will split apart because of the UV. One last comment. Why do I have this in my kitchen sink? People cannot see it with their...
It's an old yogurt container.
It's an old yogurt container. I have found this container, putting that into my kitchen sink. I have saved so much water because I have this pinyon tree next to my house where it's freshest shade, and I throw it on there. I have saved many, many gallons rather than seeing it painfully go down that drain when it's a non-soapy water. This has saved my pinyon tree and therefore have my shade back. I'm fighting pine beetle kill. I don't know if I'm gonna win. I'm in year number 3 with this tree, and I really need to give it quite a bit of water to overcome that little critter that leaves a fungus inside the passageway of a pine tree or a ponderosa pine. Hence, the tree will die because it cannot suck up water anymore. That little pine beetle has that fungi that has created millions of acres of dead forest.
So aside from the yogurt container, what advice would you give to some 25-year-old guy who's moving to Crestone or woman who's moving to Crestone and wants to live a life of independence and self-reliance?
First of all, be practical. Practical is very important. Don't have a lot of visionary things.
Right.
Start with simple stuff. Don't buy tissue paper anymore. Don't buy rolled any kind of tissue paper. It's so much wood waste, so much forest gets cut down. Simplify your plan.
Henry David Thoreau.
Less vision, more ground.
Simplify, simplify. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Good. Thank you.
Good luck, everybody.
And good luck.
Help your children. Bye.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Bell,
refresh my mind on the question.
Yes.
Please.
The basic idea is, do you feel, as I do, that there's a resurgent wave of energy for the sort of things that all of you have in common? Alternative approach to life, marching to your own drummer and that sort of thing. And also, what sort of, what short advice could you give to someone, in your area of expertise, someone who wants to grow their own food in a difficult environment?
Well, I certainly feel that we are in for a change. I'm a little older than some of these folks here. I actually grew up in the 50s and participated in some of those movements in the early 60s, and was one of the back to the land people in the late 60s, early 70s. And at that point in time, the political situation was such that it looked like we might not survive, certainly not in the pattern that was present at the time. And I would say I feel very similar to that right now. Our political situation is scary. And we have to combine that with the fact that our climate is changing really rapidly. Those are kind of global concerns, but there are also, right here in the Valley, some serious concerns for anybody who wants to think about surviving in a good way. And the lack of water, we've got a little moisture now, and that's really great. And we've had a few hits of it through the summer, but it's basically been a pretty dry summer. The fire warnings have been out. And I do remember in 2002, which was really the wake-up call for us in the Valley here. It was so dry that I remember all the pinyon trees off-gassing, the junipers as well. You would walk into the grove with the trees, and within 6 feet, you could feel the sap coming out of the treaty. And it was so serious that, if you happen to light a match or smoke a cigarette that close to your pinyon tree, it could go up.
Wow.
We actually had that's the first non-smoking outside ban that I remember here. And there was pretty serious fines. It hasn't been that dry since, but it has, and all the ponds and everything dried up. We used to have a little lake out there. Some of you may remember that out there in the Baca by Casita Park, there was actually a little lake. And there was another little pond there right outside of town on the left as you're leaving town. They're all gone now. All the fish are gone, all that stuff. We have become a serious desert. It's hard to remember that when the Spanish came here, you could not cross the valley.
It was a marshland, is that right?
It was a marshland. Yeah. And you had to walk on either the western side or the eastern side, and you couldn't go across it.
Yeah.
And
now it's dust storms.
And so the changes are significant. And with our current political situation, I don't see how it's going to improve in the near future. So I think we're going to have to, I don't know what I can do at this point except to teach what I know.
Right.
Because it's going to be my sons, my grandchildren's generation that are going to have to pick it up and try to find the new path. And it's not going to be like the one that we chose back in the 60s and 70s.
But there may be similarities. Do
There's
you
definitely
consider
similarities.
gardening to be growing your own food? Do you consider that to be a political act?
Absolutely. Not only political, but survival.
Right.
For many, and I'm so sad that so many people live in apartments in cities and don't have the culture or the opportunity. And I don't know what that's going to look like in the future, because I think as things get more and more challenging, those folks are going to see the reason to leave, which means we're probably going to have more and more people moving here with fewer and fewer skills that could be used to moderate things.
Which makes people like you so much more important, to pass along this knowledge to the newcomers who don't have it.
Well, yeah, I'd like to. I try.
You do, yeah. You teach courses, right? I think you all do a great job of that.
And it's not just, I've been involved in a lot of political stuff too. I was in the civil rights movement back in the 60s and the peace movement and the back to the land movement, and they're all tied together because when you have a status quo that doesn't work anymore, then you really need to take the courage to do what's not expected.
Right. Step out of convention. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay, I think I've taken my time.
Thank you, Mady Bill. Lloyd, how are you feeling about this? Are we just going down the line here?
Well, something I've noticed in the last few years is young people coming up to me and saying that they have discovered the book Shelter, which we did in 1973. And so this generation is different from they're the millennials, I guess, and they're different from the preceding generation, which I think they call Generation X. And so they're interested in stuff we were doing back then, and so this is a new thing, I think. We did the book Shelter in 1973, partly as a result of my discovering the domes. I didn't consider that they worked very well as homes. And so I went out and spent about a year and a half documenting real building and real builders. And
And this is after you had been building domes for years.
yeah, I'd been building domes for 5 years.
So, I mean, what courage. You've been building domes for 5 years, and then you say, you know what, these damn things leak too much, and you have the courage to change paths. That's very admirable.
I took some mescaline one day and walked up a creek near my house, Coppermine Canyon, and I had a beautiful day watching the water skeeters, and I was walking back down the creek, and this was after having a lot of misgivings about domes over the period of time. We built 17 domes at a hippie high school in the Santa Cruz Mountains and experimented. And so anyway, I was walking down the canyon going back home, and I saw a beautiful meadow, and I thought, what if there was a dome in this meadow and it was all disintegrating and it was plastic and metal, the sort of things that you tended to have to use. And so I got home and I called my agent at Random House and I said, Don, I'm taking Dome Book 2 out of print. And he said, are you crazy? He said, you know, it sold 160,000 copies. I said, no, I don't want any more domes on my karma. And so that led to doing Shelter. And so when I guess I got to Bolinas, which was a small town, had been recently discovered. There maybe are parallels here with great places being discovered by artists and creative people, and then they become known, and then you've got people with money coming in and transforming it. It certainly has happened in Bolinas. But anyway, there were 30 to 35 of us building our own homes in the 70s in and around Bolinas. And my land was $6,000. My building permit was $200. And I was my own architect and my own engineer. And right now, the building permits are $70,000. I don't know anybody in Marin County or in California, for that matter, that is building their own homes right now. But when people ask me, and I've kind of been out of the loop in a certain way, but when people ask me if I were a 30-year-old guy, I think what I would do now, where we were all looking for 10 acres in the country and, you know, building a house and getting off the grid, I think now I might look in a small town or even in a city like Richmond or someplace where the in a neighborhood where they maybe have just chased out the crack dealers and find a home that is run down a little bit but it's got a good foundation, and buy it and fix it up because you've got water and power and sewage. So that's one alternative. And the other thing is, I think that my message to people was do it yourself. That was sort of what, and with whatever materials you could use. I used wood to build my home, and so it's kind of like self-sufficiency. I found out is sort of like perfection. You're never going to get there, but do what you can. If you're living in New York City, grow some parsley on your fire escape. Maybe you can fix up an old school bus. Just look around, figure out what you can do. It's very difficult. I mean, in my town, what's happens is that you look at places like Sausalito, or this is in California, or Berkeley or Alameda, or Bolinas now. It's impossible because of regulations to build your own house from scratch. So I have a lot of faith in this younger generation, and I see just in being here 24 hours maybe the same kind of problems going on here that happened where I live. And you get what's happened in Bolinas is people with a lot of money have bought homes, and they don't live there, and so it's a very different place now from what it used to be. But just my take on it is do what you can, and don't worry about doing it all. And one last thing is, I tell people the same thing that he was saying about practicality. If you want a 7-sided house, or if you're building a house from an abstract concept, it's not a very good idea if you want to be practical, because it's going to take you a lot longer. It's going to cost a lot more money. And I tell people, as a practical person, consider a stud frame building, especially if you can find used wood. A stud frame building is, you've got a wall inside of which you put your plumbing and wiring and insulation, and you've got sheathing on the outside and sheathing on the inside. And I've kind of been, my take on things now is I want to get a shelter built and live there and get on with my life and not spend my whole life struggling with, if you're an artist and you do something, you're a sculptor and you do something you don't like or isn't working, you throw it away. But a house is a much bigger deal. So I just kind of want to be whispering over, in your ear, practicality, and don't get hung up on abstract concepts that you're going to try to bring into reality.
So it's good to have a dream, but don't be a dreamer.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
That's great. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing a thread here. Practicality.
Yeah.
Get shit done. Move in. Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, I've been at Robin's place for 24 hours or less, and I'm stunned by what she's done out there. It's just amazing. I mean, I had no idea. It's just wonderful. Yeah. And she's this place where I'm staying in now, she said she built for $10,000, and it's just got everything you'd want, and including Wi-Fi.
but no stud walls.
Yeah. Right. True. Yeah.
Sure. Just a shout out to those of you of a certain age. Do you remember the Whole Earth catalog? Large format Bible of the kind of life we're all living back. When did that come out? 68 or something?
68. Yeah, it was $5.
$5. Great. Best investment you could have ever made. Lloyd was the shelter editor of that original classic.
That's how I learned it.
I still have the last edition.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Get Lloyd to sign it for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have something else you wanted to say, Lloyd?
No.
No, you're good? Okay, thank you, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Let's move it down to Robin, who's been, what a badass. I mean, holy cow. Am I allowed to say badass on this stage? Yeah, pretty bad. I mean, what are you wearing here? Is this deerskin? Is this pig brain tan deerskin?
Did you notice the odor?
No, it smells great.
Oh, gosh.
Right up next to your mouth, Robin.
Yeah.
Oh, they won't hear you if you don't.
Oh, yes, they will.
Oh, yeah.
I got this inside me.
A theater background.
All right, so,
The question was, do you feel the wave?
yes. Oh, okay, see? Hi, what's your name?
Is it here? You can use this one.
You, I've met you before. Nice to meet you.
So do you feel there's a second wave that I was talking about, like this alternative thinking? Are your courses getting more popular? Are you seeing more young people showing up for this kind of stuff? And what advice would you give to these people? I mean, you do it every day, so what do you say?
Well, I'd say we're in the 85th wave because every year, every cycle, every season, somebody lights up with possibilities. And whether it's a huge cultural movement, whether it comes out of fear, whether it comes out of lack of ability to provide for oneself, somebody's always looking to create for themselves. What I want to do is not stand and teach and say, here's how it works. I want to open a small window you can look into, and you see something, and you go, oh, for Pete's sake, that's kind of crazy. And it gives you this little spark to know inside, yes, I can. Anything I would love to dream up without stud walls. We're going to have some talks when we get home. I can do it. There's a way. And I know as we get older, I totally hear it. We want to be done, we want to move in, we want the heat to work, and we want to be comfortable. But when we're young, we're talking about these young people coming in, baby, take it by the neck and shake that thing. This is your time. Do whatever you can imagine. Find a way, no matter what's happening around you. The gentrification of our community is huge, and it feels imposing and sometimes like it's binding you to choices you didn't want to make. You can do it. You can do whatever you can dream. That's what it is. There are no boundaries to your imagination and creativity. And now, develop some social skills so you can get along with people to make those paths open up. Because if you're just stuck, way this way, way that way, just in the center, you're not going to make enough friends to do something phenomenal, to do what's in your heart. So embrace your community, share your passion. You can do it as young people. And conventionality, everyone who knows me knows I sing songs, so I'm just gonna give you a quick blurb on one. They tell me, hey girl, stop dreaming, get your head out of the clouds, come back to this world, stop scheming, put your feet back on the ground. Practicality, conventionality, keep the wolf from the door and the winter hearth warm. Your dreams are not reality. Your crazy thoughts keep you out in the storm. Your crazy thoughts keep you out in the storm. But the wind whispers, dream on. And the fire in my belly says, go. My heart wakes with desires that push me on to know. The mountains stand like promises, calling me to the misted peak. Dream on, girl. Scheme on, girl. You will find what you seek. That's
Yeah.
that part.
Thank you.
That's my message to the young people.
Thank you so much. All right, I'd like you all to sing your answers to the next round of questions, please. So following up with what we were saying, let's just go around again. Paul, I wonder, when you look back on yourself as a young man starting out on this road, what were the hardest lessons for you to learn? What were the hardest things to let go of?
As a boy,
Yeah.
as a young man.
You were an artist in Amsterdam, right? You're doing street performances and things?
Yes, I was more like an avant-garde-ish performance happening type.
And what leads an
Involving
18-year-old guy
people,
to...
involving people with art.
Right, bringing
rather
them
than
in.
me hanging something on the wall.
Right.
For crying out loud, that's an old style of thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Being in touch with one's feelings as a boy. Do you know your anger? Do you know your resistance? Those are really salient things in the beginning of a young life.
And also Dutch culture is pretty shut down,
I
right?
left Dutch culture. I never really looked back, ever.
Really?
Yeah.
18 was when you left?
That was it.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, the day after Armstrong stepped on the moon.
Really?
I watched it on a small little flickering black and white TV screen at my mom's place. Next day, she dropped me off at the highway.
And you were on
I
your
just
journey.
went heading out east.
That's amazing.
Yes, to be in touch with one's feelings is a long journey for some of us. It was certainly for me, till I got my first daughters and my first children. And then I became grandfather. I'm a grandfather of 4. I have 3 grown kids. They all have definitely their current struggles. I don't know how they're doing it. Us 60s folks, we had a freewheeling approach. We had an approach that was very accepting and risky. And we explored a lot, as you know. Now it needs to be more measured and focused. And the term, all my relations, is very important to keep saying, the interconnectedness of everything. That statement, even though I did not grow up with it, it does resonate with me. All my relations is extremely deep and embedded with all of us, but we don't quite necessarily recognize it, how dependent we are on all of each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving forward is, don't forget a sense of humor. Don't forget to laugh at yourself.
Lighten up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the spiritualists are a bit too serious to me.
Yeah.
Then, you know, they too much on the head, not too much in the heart. Or maybe not too much on foot. The foot, the connection of the soles of your feet,
Yeah.
to the earth and how you walk. So it's walking the talk, not only it's just talking and talking. There are too many meetings.
Here.
Next.
What advice we give? Is that
Well,
what
no,
we're talking about?
this was more what was hard for you personally to learn? Like what was difficult to let go of? I mean, I feel like we all start off with these dreams and you know, we hold on to them as much as possible, but some of them we have to let go. We can't, our whole life can't be in a dream. So were there things for you?
Well-
Why did you why here for you, Matey Bell?
Why here?
Yeah, this has got to be one of the hardest places to grow food.
Well, that's true, but I think my journey started a lot sooner than that. I mean, from the growing food point, I think I had my first garden when I was 7, and so that's close to 7 decades of gardening. But the mentor in my life was my grandmother. And I think we all need a mentor. And, you know, it's a wonderful thing when you have a connection with someone and they are willing to take the time to explain what you need to know. And you may not even know what you need to know, but if you have a person who can help you see where you might want to go, help you explore the paths that are interesting to you, I think that's huge. So if anyone is feeling really confused in their lives, I think that's exploring the people that you resonate with and finding out what they have to offer, and what you might pick up and run with.
I wonder if you would agree with this. I'm 63, and feels like yesterday I was a 20-year-old, you know, looking for guidance. And when older people helped me, I always felt like, what's in it for them? Like, why are they doing this? They're being so kind to me. I don't get it. Why? What do I have to offer? And now that I'm older, I feel how good it feels to have a young person who's really interested in what you have to offer. And that's one message I keep trying to send to young people. Don't be shy about asking for help, because it actually feels good for the mentor as well as the mentee.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, maybe people think we're too busy to take the time or something like that, but shoot, we've only got so much time in life, you know?
Yeah, right.
Sharing.
And if
sharing
you can share
and smiling.
you share it with
Smiling and
someone
sharing.
who's going to keep passing it along, right?
Right. Yeah, that's how it's always been, you know, if you
Yeah.
think about it. I mean, the written word and the electronic word, those are so recent in our long-term history. Passing information from one generation to another is the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and we've been kind of taught to be isolated, and it's becoming more and more so when folks like my grandchildren are really tuned into their phones now. You know, I have no idea what they're learning on the phone,
Yeah.
but I know that we are in a different realm for sure, and how information's going to get passed from one generation to another in the electronic age is still a bit of a mystery to me.
Yeah.
So I think pick up that human side. Find a human with a smile and go for it.
Here, here. Thank you. And Lloyd, aside from domes, thank you, Matey. Aside from domes, what was hard to let go of? Because you've done so much. You had a publishing business out of your garage, right? You're growing food on your land, and you built your house. What was hard to let go of for you?
I don't really think anything was hard to let go of. I mean, I was an insurance broker in San Francisco, and started building on every night I'd go home from work and on the weekends, and one thing led to another. I mean, the first place I built, we called it then a sod roof. Now they call them living roofs. And then the second place I built was way over my head in terms of skills, designed by an architect friend of mine. And so, but one thing led to another. And so when we were going to do production of Dome Book 2, we rented an old resort in the mountains behind Santa Barbara for a month. And we went out there in a van, about 6 or 7 of us with our production equipment. And I had been having misgivings about domes. And so I was looking at the buildings by the side of the road, and we'd been struggling with all the angles and waterproofing. And I was looking at that's a rectangular building. It's got a vertical wall, and it's got a flat plane roof on the top of it without a lot of angles to worry about waterproofing. And if I wanted to add on to that building, I'd just build a roof off this vertical wall. And it just struck me after struggling for years with all the, if you want to see what I think about domes now, I did a thing called refried domes. You can look it up online. But anyway, so one thing, just one thing led to another. And so I think, going through difficult times, if you survive, you're stronger. If it doesn't kill you, it's good for you. And so all through my life, I think I don't look back and think that there was anything really hard to do. It just one step at a time.
You still skateboarding?
Yeah, I'm going to skate around here. I see some really nice downhills.
We were driving in, he's like, whoa, look at this. Oh, yeah, I think, let's skate this.
One thing about skating is once you're rolling, it's there's no bullshit. I mean, you got to pay attention, because it's not like falling when you're surfing. You're not falling in the water. You got 2 problems with skating. One is pavement, and 2 are cars. But and I also have what's called an Indo board at home, which is this board on a roller that you stand on, and I think it's important as you get older to balance, to keep all those motors running in your head. And
You turned 90 this year, right?
yeah, 90 is a lot older than 89. It really is. If I say I'm 90, it's like whoa, And a lot of it is, yeah, I'm in better shape than most people my age, but just because I've kept doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I think as you get older, diet and exercise. And in exercise, that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, is having adventures, not just going out and running down the same strip of pavement all the time, but looking for mushrooms, or going on trails you've never been on before, or doing stuff that's fun. Like here, I think you can hike here into the hills. A couple of guys were visiting with Robin yesterday, and they were going to hike up to this peak. But whatever you can do, I don't know if this is on the subject of this question, but
Doesn't matter.
Okay, whatever you can do sometimes if I'm depressed, if I go out and jump in the ocean, or get under a waterfall, or take a hike, and I'll come back and I'll be completely not depressed anymore. And I just wish I could remember to do that more often, just to kick myself in the ass. Okay, you're in the dumps now. Just get out there and do something, whatever it is.
You and I had a conversation years ago that I revisit often and recount to people. I was visiting you in Bolinas, and I think you'd been out on your mountain bike, or you were running with friends or something, and your knee was skinned up. And I said, "Oh, what happened?" And you said, "Oh, I fell. I was running, tripped on a root or something." And I said, "Oh, Lloyd, you have to be careful. You know, at your age, you don't want to be falling." And Lloyd said, "Oh, you got that wrong. You got to keep falling so you don't forget how to fall. Those are the people who get hurt."
Well, and also, so your bones are, like the astronauts, their bone density gets screwed up when they don't have gravity. And so if you fall once in a while, especially if you know how to fall and don't get seriously injured, I think if you get to be 70, 80 years old and you haven't fallen for 15 years, when you do fall, you're going to break your hip.
Right.
And so, and it's a gamble as you get older. And riding the mountain bike is, I'm going to fall. I'm going to fall once in a while, and I just, hope that I mean, my body is just a series composed of a series of accidents now, and the things that have to be taken care of, or I've lost a torn muscle in the biceps that the doctors say, you're too old to repair that. So, but I think you need to keep doing stuff, and you need to keep taking chances, and you need to get out of your comfort zone once in a while, because it pays off. It's like getting under a cold waterfall. You do that, or these people that are swimming now. I started swimming in the San Francisco Bay, where they have a club called the Dolphins Club, and all these people go swimming, and the water gets down to 49, 50 degrees, and there's a whole bunch of women in their 50s and 60s, and they are a badass group. And they swim in the bay for 20 or 30 minutes.
We're doing an ice plunge Sunday morning, I believe, with Justin. So if you want to take those words to heart.
Where is it?
Here.
Oh.
Here, yeah, at the Energy Fair. Cool. Well, thank you, Lloyd. That's good advice. Keep falling, everybody. Does that count for love too? Keep falling in love.
It definitely counts for home building. And one of the things that restricts us from trying is we've been in a period for a long time where you have to get the answer right. You get tested. Mistakes aren't good enough. You do this till you get it right. Well, this is a perfect place to make mistakes. I burst into tears when my husband and I decided to come here, and he had tried to put a little treehouse together for the kids, and I looked at it because I knew we were moving here. Neither one of us were builders. And I looked at it and I just burst into tears. And I said, "Is this what we're going to live in?" But we came into a community of, at that time, the predominance was homeowner builders. Everyone sharing their knowledge, everyone working together. A couple of walls fell through. Some of my best mentors were, I had Tony Pendergast lived here at the time and just did some beautiful natural building. Keith Conway was doing a home. We had the three guys along the street there doing straw bale. We called them the three little pigs because they were all straw bale homes, but they were experimenting. And one of the things we could do was try. And that was a beautiful opportunity. Mats Meerman, who did the straw bale movement, he actually came to our home. Everyone was saying, "Oh, you can't build a straw bale wall that high, especially since you have a sod roof." And he just came in and looked at it and went, "Cool. I want to see this in 30 years. Well, it's still there, and there's no vertical cracks in any bit of adobe or anything. So when we get told what we have to do by experts who know, then we stop being able to push the boundaries of what's possible. So that's how we evolve. We don't get where we need to go in our food growing, our home building, our community interaction by staying stuck in a paradigm of even yesterday. We do it by pushing boundaries and being allowed to be wrong, being allowed to make some mistakes. So I will encourage you that even if you don't think you have the knowledge, to reach out and connect with people trying and working and doing things and look at the stuff they screwed up. That's more informative sometimes than the stuff they didn't do well.
Were you living in a teepee with kids when you were building that?
Is there anyone here from the POA from back in 1992? I'm not answering that question.
Sorry, didn't mean
Raise
to
your
get you in
hand
trouble.
if you were on the board. No, yeah, yep. And we built our home stone by stone, and we
That's amazing.
were young, and we had vision, we had creativity, we knew how we wanted it to feel. We didn't actually know what we wanted it to be, but we knew how we wanted it to feel. And it has become more than we could, I'm gonna cry, but more than we could have imagined. And most of you who've been there or have spent time there walk in and go, ah, and that's what it was about. Now, some of you have been there at times when I've been on my journey going, because that's what it takes too, and that's not sustainable, and that's not resilient. And so how do we figure out how to be willing to take it slow and not overdo our homes so that we can't maintain them on our own as our friends ebb and flow, right? People come and go. Some people are really into what you do. Some people don't want to come anywhere near you. You have to, in the long run, say, push come to shove, what can I handle? So this food growing thing we're talking about, we had a garden at our place we dug out of the rocks, and we grew enough food between our hunting, our wild gathering, and that garden up at our place for a family of 5 for 7 months. Give me a hand. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Excellent. Guess what? There's 12 months in a year. So this idea, oh, we'll grow our own food. Well, holy smokes, it's time to move to Tennessee if that's what you still want to do. Because you can throw a seed over your shoulder and have enough food for a family. So we're trying to create a landscape, a lot of us, and especially people come here now and go, oh, I'm going to put in this because why? Oh, I can buy the infrastructure. I can buy the water. I can buy the power. I can buy the materials. But what if you take a moment and take a breath, and you get here and you look around and you say, what are the materials? How do I work with what's here? How do I create something that will hold itself together in this environment without me not being able to take care of it? Because if I'm not happy, nobody's happy. Yeah, I need to feel good about being able to provide water, food, and shelter. And one last thing I'll say for the young people as you come in and you're looking to build, everybody wants their systems now. You're from California. I was just there visiting a friend. They're going through power outages, hours at a time, having to share power. That doesn't have to be that way. Why is it? Because people moved into areas and put together this vision of what they wanted and had it all right without really asking, does this place sustain that? And it doesn't when the population numbers open up. It's not a popular subject, but population's a big problem. We have a lot of land for sale here. We have a lot of cool ideas, but we don't have, if every lot got built in, we couldn't live here. We don't have the water, the power, the ability. We've got to keep this in mind and work together to make solutions for how we choose differently to create our home spaces. People are putting in air conditioners lately.
Really?
Holy smuckin', whatever. It's cold at night. Build the house well so it's cool in the day too. All the materials are here and the know-how. People are putting in clothes dryers. Okay, if you have 5 kids in sports at Moffett School, that's fair. But otherwise, You hang your laundry, 10 minutes, it's dry. Those are two of the most consumptive resources in a home. Taking power so that we can't all share the power we need for the simple things if we choose to live with power. I mean, this sounds a little odd, but we should really be considering these deeper corners, these deeper areas. People talk about straightening the road or getting the curves of the road so it's not so inconvenient to get to town. It's like, really? How many more people have to die on the curve out there before we slow the holy heckers down in our community? These are simple ways of being sustainable and resilient with our neighbors, with our homes, with everything we choose to do. Every choice you make has an impact on everyone around you. This land offers little. Land a little rain. This land offers little. Don't come here and try to make it give you more. Do what it wants to give you, and then be happy to live that way.
Thank you. I think those are some very wise words that we can end on. Do you agree? Yes. All right. Thank you. I could sit up here chatting with these four people for days. I'm so happy to know you all and really honored to have had this chance to share this with you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us come.
Thanks.
It's great.
If you missed the earlier part of this, this will be on Tangentially Speaking soon. You can catch it anytime. Thank you all, and I will turn it over to Dr. Kim.
And I promise I won't get in a fight with Lloyd when I get home.